So what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Now today we found out some news. Now this could be good or bad depending on who you are. For me personally, this is pretty bad news. But today we found out that EA is doubling down on Star Wars. So what does that mean exactly? Well, recently they had a chat webinar with investors this week, and then there's been a couple articles sort of breaking that down. But basically during the conference, IGN reported that Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, alluded to the financial success of the modern Star Wars Battlefront series, Respawn's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes as part of his reasoning for further commitment to the license. He says, "We're going to double down on that partnership." Wilson explains Disney continues to be very committed to the IP and to the canon. Now, if you guys did not know by now, EA signed that deal with Disney back in 2013. It is a 10-year contract, and basically over the course of the 10 years, they agreed that they were going to publish Star Wars games for Disney. So that license ends in 2023, but based off of these recent comments by Andrew Wilson, the CEO, it seems like they're probably going to renew that contract. They went on to say that Wilson sees strong opportunity in the future of the partnership as new fans connect with the Star Wars franchise. He says, "We've got new generations of fans coming to the IP all the time, so our expectation is we think there continues to be a really strong opportunity in and around that relationship and that IP going forward." So as you guys know, we are obviously getting another Star Wars game, which is Star Wars Squadrons, this October 2nd, which is just a few months away. And then it is everything but confirmed that we are getting a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2. It's been heavily rumored. The game was set up for a sequel. Plus, they recently announced that that is going to be a franchise. So obviously, we're probably going to get a Fallen Order 2. And then who knows what we're going to get going forward. But for me personally, I think that they've really dropped the ball. Other than the huge comeback that they made with Battlefront 2, I have not been impressed with what they've done with Star Wars games. Now, maybe Squadrons might be really good, but the fact that they're only asking $40 up front and it's only tied to one era doesn't have me that excited going into this game. But I just feel like EA has just majorly dropped the ball, and they could have made so many other games with this license. So for me personally, I am not excited whatsoever. I'm ready for EA to move on from the Star Wars license. But depending on how you look at it, if they are doubling down, maybe this means they've learned from their mistakes, which I highly doubt. But maybe we're going to get more Star Wars games going forward. Maybe they're already planning on making a Battlefront 3. Maybe they're planning on making more unique single-player experiences. I'm all for like another Knights of the Old Republic or some sort of Mass Effect style RPG with Star Wars. There's endless potential with Star Wars games. So as much as I would like to see Star Wars go to a different company, it's not like EA doesn't have the resources to back a big license like Star Wars. But it does look like that they're probably going to extend that contract past 2013. Especially as Disney continues to add on to Star Wars, they're going to have more movies in the future, they're going to keep making episodes of The Mandalorian, so that gives them pretty much endless possibilities for new games. And then it was well known that the old CEO of Disney didn't really care for video games, so he was happy with the way that things were going with the EA. But Disney has since received a new CEO since the old one has left, so hopefully the new CEO understands just how much video games are important to the Star Wars franchise, and maybe he pays just a little bit closer attention to what EA has been doing to some of their games. Now, this next bit of information comes from GameStat, which is an unofficial website that keeps track of different stats and stuff for different video games. So this is unofficial, but they do get their information from Sony, so take this with a grain of salt. They're normally pretty accurate with their numbers, but they said that the total player count as of June 14th, 2020 is 14 million total players for Star Wars Battlefront 2. With 3.6 million new players and then 420,000 returning players. And then returning players is any player that has received a new trophy within the last month. So obviously that number might even be a little bit higher because some of the veteran players probably have all of the trophies, and a lot of people don't even care to get all of the trophies. So I'm willing to bet throughout all the consoles, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, there's probably well over 500,000 plus, reoccurring players for Battlefront 2, which is a real shame. A lot of people are still angry that they quit support for Battlefront 2. This is another reason why I do not care for EA. I don't understand their tactics. I don't get why they would just drop Battlefront 2 dead in the water and then sell this new $40 game this fall. My guess is they don't want people playing Battlefront 2 because it's not making them as much money, and they want people to buy this new one coming out. But just the fact that this game is continuing to get new players, even after they ended support, just shows how many people are interested in this game. Now, it did become free on PlayStation, so that obviously has a pretty big part in the large uptick in numbers. Plus, it also became available recently on Steam, so you're going to see a little bit more traction from that as well. But yeah, it's a real shame. You guys constantly ask me why I'm not covering Star Wars stuff. I'm losing subscribers all the time. But it has been a huge breath of fresh air to just not cover Battlefront anymore because they're not supporting the game. If they still supported the game, then sure, I would still continue to make videos on Battlefront 2. But it's just not fun for me to cover a game and put all this false hope into a game that just EA doesn't really care about anymore. It did have a huge, amazing redemption story, but I think it's just scummy of EA to do that. And obviously EA doesn't care too much about the game if they're just going to strip all development after it made such a huge comeback. Most game companies would love to have around 500,000 regular players on any video game. Like, that's a solid win for any game company. That's a really, really high player base for a game that doesn't even have support anymore. So I think EA really, really screwed up, and I guess best case scenario is that they learn from Battlefront 2 and then they cut support from Battlefront so that they can work on future projects, and maybe they'll make Battlefront 3 even better. I really, really hope that they learn their lesson. I mean, Fallen Order was a good game. Didn't have any microtransactions. Squadrons game this October isn't supposed to have any microtransactions or DLC or anything. Maybe EA is actually learning with the Star Wars license. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope EA pulls it around, and if they're going to extend the license, I hope they actually do something with it. But based off of everything they've done so far in the past, I'm just not that excited going forward. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Are you guys excited or not excited for EA extending the license? Do you think that EA has learned from their past mistakes? And what do you think of Star Wars Battlefront 2's player base being as high as it is, considering the game doesn't have support anymore? Do you guys still play Battlefront 2 regularly? Because after the latest update, I've only played it a handful of times on stream, and I haven't touched it in my free time. I'm just personally so burnt out on the game, and there's nothing new to do. And there's so many glitches, I just get too frustrated to play it. But regardless, let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out another video. Subscribe if you are new here. And yeah, I make videos on other games now. I'm no longer covering just Battlefront 2. I will cover most Star Wars gaming news. I will cover other video games and their news. I'm going to be covering a lot of Cyberpunk going forward towards the end of this year. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, that is what I'm doing with the channel. So with that said, I will talk to you guys in the next video.
We would be honored if you would join us. You cannot resist